Taurus Sun and Rising. Welcome to your June 2023 Astro Update. It's Rena here. Ooh, so much happening. So June is the month after we've had eclipse season, April and May. And being Taurus Rising, I can say that I was definitely affected by the, especially maybe both of them. The one in April and in May. But you know something, even when you have this crisis point, when you resolve the issue, you feel 1,000 times better. It's just in that crunch time, right? So if something came to the surface, something maybe that you were trying to avoid or what have you, you may be breathing easier right now. I always say maybe because I don't know every single one of you what's been happening. Some of you may have not had any drama whatsoever. So on June 3rd, we have a full moon at 13 degrees of Sag. So speaking of drama, full moons can be full of drama. That's why the lunar eclipse in your opposite sign of Scorpio in early May may have brought that up for you times 3. But this is a garden variety full moon, you could say. And for Taurus individuals, this falls in your 8th house. The 8th house is the house of, can be the house of secrets. This is Scorpio's domain in astrology. So it deals with issues surrounding death, rebirth, transformation, which those past two terms, really, death and rebirth, really talk about transformation, don't they? They describe it. And it can also be something to do with other people's money. Now, that could be something secretive, where some money that you didn't know about or that you thought was one amount turns out to be another. So, for instance, an inheritance, you find out what the will really says, or your partner, this could be your spouse's money, your partner's money, and you thought it was one thing and it turns out to be another. But this is really a great time to purge all of the negativity out of yourself. This is like a purging house. So the shadow work. And shadow work can be as simple as sitting down, sitting in your emotions that are uncomfortable and witnessing them, not distracting from them. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't have to be that involved. On the 5th, Venus, your ruler, goes into Leo. Now, this is significant because Leo is the sign where Venus is going to retrograde next month in late July, and it will stay there for months. This is not typical for Venus. Venus has a transit of 3.5 weeks like Mercury does. So it's very quick as a transit, but not when it's retrograding. It starts to slow down. So it's starting to slow down now. But that means that it will linger in a particular area. So it's lingering in the 4th house of home and family. So this could be a great time to attract to you in the next, let's see, July, August, September. I don't know when it goes into Virgo, but probably at least 4 months or more in one sign to attract to you your dream home or some other beautifying project for your home. Maybe this is I was going to say renovation, but that's more with Mars. And of course, Mars is going to go into that house. It might be in Leo at this time. I didn't write it down because it didn't change signs in June. So that might be going along with it and maybe redecorating, but kind of this process. On the 11th, Pluto goes back into Capricorn. So this is fellow Earth sign. So you've had Pluto in your ninth house for years, Taurus. And what this typically can do is it can really radically shift a person, or you say transform a person's life philosophy, but also their religious indoctrination or just religion in general, where they question these things. Because Pluto is about uncovering all the things below. There can even be like scandals connected to religion, or also with academic stuff. This is the ninth house is the house of higher learning. And sometimes if Pluto is here, if you had this obsession with, I have to get a college degree, and you got one, and you felt that it was somehow not what it was supposed to be, that can certainly create a sense of, shifting how you view these kinds of outer accomplishments. Well, now Pluto in retrograde motion is bringing it back to you on an internal level. So it really is about testing your beliefs. And if somebody if somebody belongs to an organized religion and they really feel that it's helping them to grow, then more power to them. It's when it doesn't, it has a negative effect. And this could even be the New Age kind of community, although I don't necessarily put that with the ninth house. It seems to me the ninth house is more of the established. Yeah, well, I think I think it could be. Or even Eastern religions, that people who tend to get involved in more of the mystical side of things tend to think are higher, ways of doing things. I remember my partner and I going to a temple that was of an Eastern religion variety, and we witnessed this exchange, or we were talking to one of the spiritual aspirants who live there. And we came away with this feeling of like, that's not, we were disappointed. In other words, we were disappointed by what we were told, because and also the behavior that we experienced. And we've had this, happen before. Just because something is Eastern religion doesn't mean, everything is going to be at a higher level 100% of the time either. So anyway, that's happening. And on the same day, Mercury goes into Gemini. This is your second house, and this can be very practical, specifically about money, finances. So like I said, you have this full moon in the 8th house, dealing with other people's money and how that pertains to you. And now that could bring that out, and then that brings it back to yourself. Okay, what is my bank account looking like? Or ideas for making money. If you find out your partner is like, in the red, and you're like, okay, well, I guess it's going to be up to me. On the 17th, Saturn goes retrograde. So we're going to have a couple of retrogrades, Saturn and Neptune, this month. And it's at 7 degrees of Pisces. So for Taurus, this is the 11th house, which can be about any kind of structure you're trying to build that connects you maybe with other people. The 11th house has been mentioned as the internet, along with the 3rd house, which Gemini rules, which for you is in Cancer. You're going to have Mercury going into that house at the end of the month. But the 11th house as well, it's the collective plus technology, the 11th house. So just in general, anything that you have been doing, you may find that you're going within more. So rather than trying to maybe build a, like if you have like an online business, you may be trying to build an online community, but you're going, maybe you're going to kind of take a break from that because something isn't quite right. You're not sure if the approach is right. If you really have something viable. The 11th house are your hopes and wishes. Saturn transiting this house can really make them come into full materialization. But the thing is that sometimes goals change. Sometimes we decide we don't want what we thought we wanted. So that can happen. So this is going to be a process for the next few months until November when Saturn goes direct. On the 18th, we have a new moon at 26 degrees of Gemini. That is the second house. And having Taurus rising, I'm like stoked for this because it's going to be right on top of my natal Jupiter. So I'm already, I was going to say I'm already ordering the Maserati, but I don't drive. But anyway, this could be some kind of new developments for money making opportunities, money coming to you. Remember that you had Mars here for 7 months, so you had some kind of issue. Maybe you just had to put in a lot of effort to make money. You just had to hustle, hustle, hustle. Now that Mars is no longer in that house, maybe there's still some kind of benefits. Because actually, as I recall, the retrograde in Mars was at 25 degrees. So maybe there's some connection to that retrograde and you having a new beginning here. On the 21st, the summer solstice, Northern Hemisphere version, 9:57 a.m. Central Standard Time, sun goes into Cancer. This is a cardinal sign. All the seasons are cardinal signs. This ushers in maybe more stuff happening, more often because the cardinal modality is all about action. So we could see just as a collective things starting to speed up. For you, this is the sun going into the third house. So it makes you more communicative. The 26th Mercury goes there. So you may be doing things for social media. Again, with Saturn retrograde, you're keeping, maybe it's when Saturn goes into the 11th house, you may find that your friendships start to kind of diminish, or there's like a sense of some kind of, I don't know if I call it stress or strain, but Saturn makes things more serious and more restricted. So and they talk about when we are getting our spiritual upgrades, when we talk about ascension and all of that jazz, that people that are not vibing with you anymore, they kind of fall away in however that happens. So you could look at it as that as well. By the way, with Saturn in the 11th house, if you are the type of person, Taurus, if your natal, especially if your natal Neptune is in your 11th house, actually scratch that. You would have to be listening to me when you're like 10 years old. But what I was trying to get at is some people have a tendency to be very giving to their friends, and they don't have proper boundaries. So Saturn in the 11th can be about having more structure as it pertains to your social life. And why that's important is that people who don't have boundaries, they're not going to have relationships that are healthy because they're just going to give and they're not going to feel like they have any kind of control over being able to say no to things. So this Saturn retrograde can really bring that home to yourself, because sometimes people blame other people and they say, they're always asking so much of me, and they play the martyr. And in fact, it's because they do not say no enough. Well, on the 30th, Neptune goes retrograde. So a Neptune retrograde means that when Neptune is in the 11th house, you may have like a overly optimistic, overly rosy opinion of the people that you're surrounded with. And this could be like a kind of reality check. And, depending on how important friends are to you, this could be, semi-devastating if you have been thinking one thing about them and another is actually true. You may feel let down. You may feel like, oh, they never really cared about me. Well, you don't have to take it that far, but you can see how you do need that internal discipline, which Saturn retrograde is going to show you, to be able to say it. Because a lot of times when people are afraid to say no, it's because they're afraid of being rejected. They are afraid somebody's going to get angry at them and stop talking to them, and then they'll be alone for the rest of their life. And we have to have that self-love, and we also have to be fearless and realize that anybody that would be that unreasonable to stop talking to you merely because you told them that you didn't want to just be at their beck and call, that's not the kind of person that you want to have in your life anyway. So anyway, that's what I have for you, Taurus, and I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, since we are in, we're a little bit we just got past Taurus season, but this is really your new cycle. If you would like to look at the year ahead, what are the themes? You're having the last eclipse in your sign later this year. What house is it actually going to fall in? Because these are general reports. And I have a double reading called Deep Dive, which is natal chart interpretation and transits for the next 12 months at a special price. And same with if you like tarot, I have full-length tarot reading with natal chart for a special price called The Whole Enchilada. And I have standalone readings. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at rainamoonastrology.com. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.